Law School is trying to shed some light on the state's so-called shadow government. The school's Government Law Center has launched a blog about public authorities, from state-level agencies like the Thruway Authority all the way down to local industrial development agencies. There are actually hundreds of public authorities in the state, and they account for about $53 billion worth of annual spending. And yet most are subject to very little government oversight. So as the state looks at cutting costs and consolidating, or even actually eliminating some authorities, this has come up as a new tool for people to keep track of it all. The Public Authorities blog will cover any reform proposals as well as legal issues that arise and news stories. It's basically pretty much your average blog. Here to tell us more about the project is the director of the Government Law Center and Albany Law Associate Dean, Patricia Salkin. It is good to see you.
Well, thanks, Liz.
You're giving me competition. That's what this is all about, right? You want to put us out of the blogging business.
Just a little bit.
No, seriously. I think we have some just video footage so people can get a look at this blog. Hopefully we can pop that up there. But it is not a bells and whistles situation, but it is dense in information. So what is it that gave you guys the idea to do this to begin with?
Well, the Government Law Center is really focused on public authorities for a number of years. Ever since the major reform efforts several years ago, we've had a bunch of conferences and symposia at the law school. We've offered a number of training programs for board members of public authorities. And we discovered that there really isn't that much out there in terms of critical academic literature, looking at the history of public authorities, looking at how they work, sort of being that outside of government look at what's going on.
Right.
So we decided to create the Public Authorities Project, which is our broad umbrella name. And within there, we'll do our live programs, but we've established a clearinghouse that's national in scope for information about public authorities, and now this blog is our second major effort.
So just in case people are a little bit confused about what we're talking about here, can you give us sort of the definition, the $1 definition of a public authority?
Well, a public authority is a quasi-governmental agency.
Right.
Sometimes with gubernatorial appointments, sometimes appointments at the local level. It's not part of the executive branch, it's not part of the legislative branch, but yet there's oversight clearly within the executive branch, and the legislature has had lots of hearings over the years. And so it's this animal, as you mentioned in the introduction, people call it shadow government or the fourth branch of government. It's not mentioned in the Constitution, but it's been a tool that was created in order to advance a lot of capital projects over the years, and maybe the mission has expanded.
Right. I mean, right. So that's an interesting point. Okay. So at best, they are an entity created to circumvent the red tape of government to make it easier to do things like borrow, right?
Correct.
Okay. At worst, they're a patronage dumping ground run amok with a bunch of political corruption and scandals that we've seen any number of over the years. And it's hard to keep your finger on them because there was not a whole heck of a lot of oversight, but the Reform Act actually managed to clear that up a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, well, with all of the attention with the Public Authority Reform Act and the attention that former controllers and attorneys general put into this, as well as the legislature, we realized nobody even knew how many public authorities there were in New York. And at one point, the count was over 600. I think now it's down to about 500, in part because it was discovered that some were on the books but didn't even have a board and weren't even operating. But they technically existed on paper.
So some of the big ones and the ones that you guys have so far focused on, you've been in existence in like a soft opening for about a month now. Now you're going gangbusters, of course, because everybody knows that you're there. But the MTA, a big one right now. This is the entity that runs the New York City transit system.
Correct.
And it has been in the news because of proposed, well, perennial, really, fare hikes, toll hikes, problems with their books, etc. And at best, you might actually be able to help lawmakers get a handle on what's really going on there.
That's right, and we hope that lawmakers will look at the blog and use the blog. We hope that members of the public will use it, that and members of the public might be just concerned citizens. They might be people who worked at those authorities in the past. They might be lawyers, business people, accountants that can really help to provide a constructive critique of what's going on. So we hope that there will be robust communication on the blog, that people will post thoughtful and constructive comments and have sort of that forum for a dialogue. And we also hope that other people will contact us and want to guest blog on this topic.
Yeah, before we get to, and there's some other really great content already on here, and I'm a little bit of a wonk sort of person, but yeah, it's written in a way that is easy to understand, because authorities are not an easy to understand topic, actually. But just from a point of sort of the way that it works, I mean, you're using WordPress as and
Correct.
we use it too, actually. It's very easy. It's easy to get engaged with. It's just interesting to me that that you're talking about a school, and you're talking about now you guys are into social media. Will you be tweeting soon too?
Actually, the Government Law Center does tweet.
There you are.
But, you know, as part of our educational mission, one of the postings on the blog leads readers to a paper that was written by a student who just graduated from the law school in May, and she did an independent study paper looking at fiduciary duties of board members.
Right.
And so the Government Law Center posted that paper, and now we were able to let people know about it using the social media of the blog.
And actually, that particular topic is one that is unusually pertinent because it's ancillary. It's not directly connected to, but the governor has called for a review of the compensation of nonprofits that receive state funds. You're talking about people get on boards all the time. Some of these folks at authorities make a lot of money, and once they get appointed by a previous governor, they have a certain amount of terms. You can't get rid of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, some board members serve with no compensation on some of the large state public authorities, because I believe Governor Mario Cuomo eliminated compensation for many of those board members.
Right.
And that led to part of the debate a number of years ago as to whether or not board members were really paying attention to their volunteer job because they weren't being compensated to do something. And maybe that was a partial explanation, although really not a good explanation for people that may have been falling asleep on the job.
Well, and similarly, I believe that the State Liquor Authority compensation has also been just recently changed rather quietly by the Cuomo administration. And so there are any number, you're not going to run out of fodder is the thing here, right?
Right, not at all.
And the governor also has made it a point of saying that he is really big into government consolidation. And so there are already some thoughts about state agencies that might consolidate, and also some of these actually up and running, not on paper only, authorities that would perhaps merge.
Correct. I mean, so there are state level authorities and there are local authorities like the IDAs that we include within here as well. And there's a lot of opportunity, because your question, do you really need 500 separate entities with separate uni-missions basically out there, or could things be combined to be more efficient and to be able to better manage from a statewide perspective on how much debt are we really issuing?
Right. Well, just to remind people, the blog address is
www.publicauthorities.wordpress.org.
And they can also go to, they can really just go to the Government Law Center and get a hot link there, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So this is, obviously, it's going to be a tool. We're going to be reading it and putting it on our favorites list. I want to thank you very much, Patty Salkin, for coming in.
Thank you.